What I have here are 3 Hobbit holes made by Adam Brucas of Tiny Scenics, and I ordered these a year ago in the Black Friday sale he did for 2018, and they have still not yet been painted or done anything with. And now that I'm doing the battle companies and I'm looking at putting together lots and lots of terrain, I do think that I need these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build them on camera with you and bring you along with the process and show you what I think. And yeah, you can decide for yourself whether you think they're good or not. And I shall also give you my impressions at the end of this build. First of all, I'm going to prime these with my favourite spray primer, which is Rally Black Schwarz Matte. So yeah, matte black. And then, before I do anything, I'm going to put my mask on. Hobbit holes have been primed. I did do 2 coats of the black primer, and now they're ready to be finished off. Now I think this won't take very long, but obviously, you know me, I do like to do things nicely, and I will have ideas probably about trees and all sorts of crazy things which will slow me down. But my plan, at least at first, is to put my brown paint on everywhere where there's going to be earth. I'm going to prime again, but with paint, the doors and all the wood with grey, so that I can lift that up with brown. And after I've done that, I will be putting phlox and different coloured grasses, and maybe some static grass and maybe some trees, and that will then finish it off. I don't want to go too crazy on these. I really like them. I think they've come out very well. So Adam, good job. They're a really nice do. So let's see how it goes after a couple of hours of work. One of the major challenges of living in Bulgaria is it gets cold in the winter, and as we don't have central heating, it's not quite so easy to keep rooms warm which you aren't going to use very often. So this evening I am down in the dining area. I have put some paper down on the dining table, and I'm going to spend a very short amount of time putting a little bit of work into these Hobbit holes. I don't really want to spend that much time hobbying this evening, so there's no point in lighting the fire in room 13 for maybe 15 or 20 minutes of time. So I will point the camera down at the table and you can watch along while listening to some nice music. I have 2 colours of paint with me this evening. I have my brown, which is going to be put over all of where the dirt is, and then I've got some grey surface primer which I'm going to put on the doors and on the window frames. So, here goes. So that's the first coat done. I will let that go off and hopefully get another coat done this evening. It doesn't look like I'm going to get to the grey this evening because that took a bit longer and is going to need multiple coats, but I think it's going to look very nice. So the brown paint, the dark brown wash, has gone off quite nicely, and I've also done the white undercoat on the wood, so there's one of them. What I'm now going to be doing is using my big brush and some very much lighter paint, which is actually called African, which is a very dusty colour. I'm going to dry brush over the dark to bring out the texture. Again, I'm not going to do that on camera because, well, actually I've got a bit of a migraine and I don't know how long this is going to take me, so I will come back when it is finished. That dry brushing didn't take me very long. It never does it? But on camera I might have struggled. So I've put this light colour, which you can probably see, on each of these Hobbit holes, which are coming out really nicely. They're really nice to work with. So that's 3 of them. I will be moving back up to room 13. I think it's been good to be down here for these short hobby sessions, but also I am taking up half of the dining table, which isn't really ideal. So after this I will be clearing myself and going back up to the hobby room. Next up for the hobby holes, I'm going to paint the details. I'm going to do that before I do the flocking so that I can then cover any mistakes using flock. I'm going to paint the wood. I'm going to do a wood colour on the door, and then I'm going to put another colour over the door because I want it to look like maybe it's, if I miss anything, at least you can see the wood through it, it doesn't look white. So let me get my paints together, I'll show you what I'm going to use, and then I'm going to get started. The first colour I'm going to use is the Vallejo old wood, which I'm going to paint over all of the wood. And then I'm going to use wood grain, which gives it a nice depth, which I'll paint over some parts of it, but not all of it. So I'll put on my music, and you can watch me speed paint as I give this a very good shake, which Vallejo needs. Exposed wood done. What I'm now going to do is a little bit more of that wood colour, as I happen to have actually put exactly the correct amount on to finish it off, and I'm going to do the door. I've also identified some areas where I should have put the brown colour on, like here and just around here, which I didn't do. So what I'll probably end up doing is adding that on as well, but I won't do that on camera, but I'll just get some paint and cover that over. There you are. With that done, I will now do the other 2, which are larger, and I won't do them on camera, otherwise this will be the longest ever speeded up section in the history of Beard Clipper, and I'll be back when I have completed them as well. That old wood is a brilliant colour. It gets a big thumbs up from me, I can tell you. It looks brilliant. And I've done that to all of the Hobbit holes. So now I'm going to start painting some of the details. And for this, I've picked out pastel blue. If that'll focus, there we are. Pastel blue from Vallejo, surprise, surprise. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint that on the details. So that's going to go on the door, and it's also going to go on the back for these little details on the windows that you can see here. So let's do that. There we are, that's that one done. I will now pick different colours for the other doors, and we'll get back to you when I have done them. That is all of the painted wood done, and I've done this one as I showed you with the blue. I've done one with just a flat red, and I've done another with the intermediate green, all from Vallejo. So what I'm now going to be doing is working on the stonework, which is on this miniature around the door and also up here on the chimney. So for that I have 2 different washes again from Vallejo. I have the game colour pale grey and I have a dark grey wash as well, both of them from Vallejo. So I have my plastic palette, which I'll put some of the wash on. Put that on around the chimney first, I think. See how that works. Yes, that's going to work fine. As you can see, it is highlighting out the nice textures, but not overwhelming the fact that this is a light coloured stone. And that's what I want to achieve. I don't want this to be too dark. These are Hobbit holes. They should be bright, shouldn't they? There we are. and then around the door. Right, so there we have it. That is quite effective, I think. I will go and apply this technique to the other miniatures, to the models. And we'll be back when that is done. These are really starting to take shape now. I'm going to do two processes for this one. I'm going to do the wood grain that I mentioned earlier on all of the wood. And I'm also going to use brass for the doorknobs. You can see I've put some blue on this one, but I don't think I like it. I think that I'm going to do all of that brass. So. There we are. So now I'll do that process for the other two models. Next up, I have something a little different. You can hear the kettle boiling in the background. I do like my cups of tea. I'm going to put together this War Bases archery butt, which is going to be leaning up against the front of one of the Hobbit holes. The next process on these Hobbit holes is going to be doing the flocking. Now, that's something that I've done before, so once again I will do the small Hobbit hole and then finish the rest off not on camera. So I will just get myself set and then carry on with that task. I have to gather together a lot of different colours of flock, as I'm going to be doing not just grass but also some flowers. First of all, I have the glue mix. I will link to my video about that, which hopefully I'll publish by the time I publish this. I filmed it ages ago, haven't got around to publishing it yet. This is a mix of PVA, water, and also washing up liquid, like your dishwasher liquid, or just soap, which is used to prevent it from going off and act as a flow agent. That will do for that. As per usual, I will start with my dark green, which is what I like to use as my base. And we'll carefully scatter that over. And then have some lighter green to add some highlights. And then last but not least, on the grass colours, I have what is actually called grass colour on the paint, which I use to make it. And this I will use very sparingly as it is much brighter, but it really does add a nice highlight. And then what I'll do to tie it all together is another overscatter of the darker colour. There we are. That's how I flock. I'm going to carry on with this and do the rest, and I'll be back when I have finished that. That's the flocking done on these 3 Hobbit holes, and I'm very, very pleased with the result. They look amazing. I think the sculpts are very nice, and they're going to just really work well on the tabletop. I'm going to do the coloured flocks another time. I'm going to let this all dry because I will need to seal this and then put the coloured flocks over the top of the greens. So that's going to be that for now, but I've gone from just having only the primer all the way through to that stage in maybe an hour, hour and a half of hobbying. So that's been very quick, and they're going to look great on the table. I'm really looking forward to getting them used now. I'm really pleased to have started so finally, having had them on the shelf for so long. So the next time you see this will be another day, and I'll be working on another process. The Hobbit holes are coming on very well indeed. I finished them, or nearly finished them, the other day with putting the flock, and then I sealed them with a very heavy spray of my PVA and water mix. Now that they're nice and dry and nothing's coming off them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of these, which are like purple flowers, and then over here I have some other flocks, homemade flocks made with sawdust and paint that I'm also going to put on as flowers. The final thing that I'm going to do is I've made up these archery butts, and one of these houses, probably this one, is going to have this as a bit of scattered terrain, just kind of nestled in there as if it's ready and waiting to be taken and used. And I might put a bow and a quiver or something there as well, just to dress that up. I'm not going to go too crazy on these, as these are scattered terrain, but I think that's a nice touch to have. So what I'm going to do now is get that started, and I will show you when I'm back. That's some flock and some other bushes put onto each of these hobbit holes, and I'm really pleased with how they're looking. And as you can see on this one, we have the A-frame for the archery butt. I'm going to have to wait until the other bit, the circular bit, the target, is dry so that I can paint on the rings, and then we'll be completed. So I will show you that at that point. This is now going to be left to dry probably for a little while until I get back upstairs again. As I say, Christmas does mean that I get less hobbying, but it's Christmas, so you can't argue. You would have thought that I would have known this, having been an archer in real life, but I'm about to paint the archery target for the Hobbit hole, and I have gone onto Google Images to double check what colours it needs to be. And as you can see from that, it is white on the outside, black, blue, red, then yellow. So if we count this, it's going to be yellow in the middle, it's going to be red there, it's going to be blue there, and it's going to be black there. Now that means that we're not going to have the white surround. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'll show it to you when it is completed. We have got to the end of this build. I have the final piece to put in place. I have painted the target, and I'm going to glue that on right here. So let's get that done, and when that is done, I will come back with all of the hobbit holes to show you what they look like. A big thumbs up for these sculpts to Adam Brookass. And so finally, well, I say finally, but this has been one of the quicker builds I've done. I have completed the 3 hobbit holes. I'm very happy with how they've come out, and I'd like to show them to you and wrap this video up. So first of all is the small one, the blue one, which is what I did on camera most of the time. You can see that I've put some coloured flock on it, and I think that has come out very, very nice indeed. I'm very pleased. Secondly, the middle-sized one, the green one. This one has some clump foliage on it, as well as a couple of different colours of flock and some tufts. And finally the large one, and this is where our friendly archer lives. And you can see there, right at the front, there is the archery butt waiting to be made use of. You can see that he's got a flowering bush here, so not only is he an archer, but he is also a gardener. I am very pleased with how these have come out, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's much kudos to Small Scenics for producing these lovely kits. So that's that. I'm going to wrap this up now, get this published. This may end up being the first ever completed build with me, which is quite ironic because it's also the one that I started most recently. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, and if you are subscribed, don't forget to ding the bell so that you are informed whenever one of these videos goes live. And as always, thank you very much for watching Beard Clipper.